and of course, no one else was, going to give me projects just coming hand, because I was young. I was second year engineering guy. No right mind company will come and give me projects. So I was doing all projects for free. Built that relationships with a lot of folks in the startup ecosystem in those 2 years. And when I was in my fourth year, by the time I reached my fourth year of engineering, I had a very good set of clientele. I had like the government of Telangana as one of my major clientele. I had a bunch of corporates, a bunch of FMCG chains that I managed to back as clients. So then it was pretty straight to me that I was in my fourth year. I had these set of clients. I was doing fine. I took the leap of faith. I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's try it out for 2 years. If it works out, it works out. If not, it doesn't. Let's figure out. And then I jumped in, registered the company, started doing stuff on a legitimate private business from then. And then, yeah, it's pretty much that's how it went down. So from being a one-person company, today we are a 20 people company. I know it's not a big number, but if you think about it, I'm a 2018 graduate. I'm 24 years now, and yeah, doing pretty well. Thank you.
Great, great, amazing, Manish, amazing. So here, when you mentioned that while you were still in the college, you were exploring things, doing bunch of websites for free of cost for corporates and other stakeholders. So I just want to ask that at this prime age, usually what students tend to do is they want to enjoy their college life, make some friends, their social life is like glittering. So in the midst of this all those glamour and distracting things in college life, how do you manage to keep yourself self-disciplined and able to provide services for free of cost to the corporates and building up your clientele much before when you actually started your business?
So, very good question, right? So, in college, of course, college time, when the time that you're running in actually college, during the college hours, staying with friends and all chilling out is great. You bunk college, you go out, have fun. All that stuff, of course, I also did as well. But then I think it was a blessing in disguise that my house was 2 hours away from my college, and none of my actually classmates or the close circle that I made in college were not around my place. So once I am out of the whole college bubble, I reach home. I didn't have anyone else to like go ahead and hang out with from a college circle. So I had a lot of free time, and then I started working on that time, pretty much. Yeah, but I think that doesn't happen with everyone. But I think engineering is a phase of life where we have a lot of free time. I mean, even if you say that I don't, I'm sure you're lying, because engineering, come on. I mean, 4 years, are you really reading, right? No. So you have a lot of time. So I'm sure everyone has that 4 years of timeline to figure out what they're doing. A lot of people make this mistake of realization of the fourth year of, oh, now I have to. And then they take a year or two to figure out. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own path. But it's easier to get into a track if you already have your mind prepared, pre-hand, at least in the direction of thought or direction of career that you want to make.
Great. Any advice or any tricks you were using like meditation, yoga, just to keep yourself focused and not getting distracted? Any tips you would want to give?
I actually desperately want to get into meditation right now, but then back then, no, definitely not. I mean, college students, honestly, meditation and all that, it's a bounce over their heads even if you tell them now. So it doesn't have an actual impact back then, because it's obvious that we are too distracted at that age, and irrespective of what we do, we are going to be distracted. We move on to the next shiny object, every time we see one. I think that's inevitable. I think that's part of the process, and I think we should embrace it, enjoy it. At the same time, have that master goal set, right? I mean, you know where you want to reach. You might reach it tomorrow or a year or two later or after your BTech's done. That's fine. But as long as you're working towards that, I think that's you will find ways to make it work.
Amazing, amazing. Manish, bit about your company, Outside Media. So, what sets you apart from other competitors in the industry? And if you could just share a few experiences with your client, uh, you have helped them overcoming some of their challenges and being a strong partner to them.
Right. So, I mean, to be honest, right, IT services as a space is very crowded, right? I'm sure, like, if you live in a tier one city and you walk into like the core of your cities, I'm sure you'll find 10 software companies which do exactly what we do in terms of service offerings, right? By the labels of it, in one gully. Uh,
Yeah.
plenty of them, to be honest, right?
Mhm.
It's very hard to stand out for sure. But then, first thing, because we were college, like right out of college, and we didn't know how much to price our services for. So we thought, okay, how much is my friend getting placed for? And it's okay, 3.2 lakhs. That means 30,000 a month. तो मतलब मेरे को एक महीने में जितने projects आएंगे, I am going to make 30,000 on it, right? And that's where like the whole pricing strategy came in, because I didn't know any other software company guys where I can reach out and say, hey dude, how much are you charging for this? Right? I didn't know how much to charge for my services. So then, I mean, it rather worked out that way, that we learned from our mistakes of severely underpricing ourselves, and going on from there. But as a company, how we stand out is the design-based development approach that we do. I mean, as a person and as a company, we've imbibed ourselves that irrespective what kind of functionality a particular app or web application is offering, the way you package it with beautiful design, beautiful experience of the user, makes a lot of impact. I mean, I've seen applications which do extremely sophisticated stuff, but have the worst kind of like 1940 UI. You know what I mean? So that drives users away. And I've seen applications like To-Do. Like To-Do applications are making millions of dollars. I mean, come on, To-Do application an intern can build like in a couple of weeks or so, even if the worst case scenario, right? But those make a lot of money because of the way they are structured, the experience part of it, the ease, the the shared aspect of it. You can access from your mobiles, your computers, your tablets, whatnot. So focus on experience, focus on design is what we primarily do. And we obviously voice whatever we have to our customers as well. So they welcome it in a large amount of sense. And then that pretty much drives the whole conversation for us. Yeah, but I would say what makes us stand out is the human capital that we invested in, right? The people that are there in the company are why we are here. Point blank, right? There is no one else I would give credit to for the way we've grown as a company. It's definitely the people in it. Irrespective of you name market conditions, you name clients, all that is great. But people, because that is where that's the entire pillar that companies stand on. I mean, we've seen days where we've had to work straight for long hours. And I mean, if you're having a typical corporate structure and you ask some of your team members to work beyond 8 o'clock or beyond 7 o'clock, which is your typical working hours, they'll start getting irritated. And they might do it for you a day or two, but not a month, right? They won't work till 12 in the night every month or every day of the month. And not on weekends for sure. But my team does that whenever there is a need for it. And without me asking for it or without me pushing for it, they understand it, they do it themselves. That's voluntary work. And I think that's a blessing in disguise that not many people appreciate in the ecosystem, that having the right team makes all the difference.
Correct. So it is so much amazing to learn that how much dedicated your team is. So do you think is it just merely a coincidence, or it just happened to you by luck, or you can break it down the process which any other participant can just follow and they can also make a great, inspiring and committed team for themselves?
So for us, right? So what we've done for finding this talent pool that we have in the company is we've been through the typical process of taking up people for internships, and we have something called as Know Your Team as a basic Google form that we put together, where we ask about the team's aspirations, where they want to be. This is after they join the company. Before they join, it's going to be a typical process for them for an internship or for a job. Once they get onboarded, because of their technical expertise or because of why we are asking them to be a part of it, the longevity of it, that is after internship to converting to a job component, right? That is where we assess the whole data points that we collect in our Know Your Team data forms that we share with the team. There we ask things like where you're aspiring to be, where you see the company being. I don't ask where you see yourself being in 5-10 years, because I'm sure everyone has great aspirations, and that's fantastic. But I want to know the designations that they want to be. I don't want I want to be successful. So if you ask people like where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, majority of people are like, hey, I want to be extremely successful. I want to make X number of money, or I want to stay in this place something like that, right? But I'm like, which designation are you interested in? And we are pretty much, enticed by people who come join our company and say, I want to be a CEO of a IT services company, or I want to be a CTO, I want to be a CFO, and things like that, right? Managerial positions or leadership positions, when they start asking for it, that essentially means that that is there internally to them, right? And that zeal of entrepreneurship, once it's sparked, I think they itself will do wonders. So it's like, for us, our teams run their own teams inside the company, right? So they're running their own startups in some sense. So they've got that sense of freedom as well as that commitment towards work, and that's what we look at. And as long as you're doing that, and you're finding that people with passion and channeling them through the right direction, I think they'll do wonders for you.
Fantastic. So, am I right in saying that you are a powerhouse for entrepreneurs? You are creating many entrepreneurs and lightening them up.
That's a very, very big statement. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but yeah, I mean, surely try to give as much as opportunity as possible. We're a very open company. We're a flatline company, which means we don't have any hierarchy in the company. I know, I mean, being a small organization, that gives us the liberty to do it. We don't have to go through a certain set of people to get acceptance or rejections or whatever, right? So having that open culture helps a lot, and also like letting people know that you are there when there is a hardship, not just pushing them when there is actual client work, hey, do it, but then when actually down, go ahead, talk to them, have that empathy towards people, empathy towards team. I think, yeah, that is very important. That is very, very important. I mean, people talk about, hey, your team should work hard and all that, but then as the person who's leading it, I think it's very important that you understand what they're giving up to give that much to the company, and embrace it, like have empathy towards it, and also as much as possible try to be appreciative about it, right? That's all they expect, because if you are a startup, and people don't expect money from you, because they know that it's great if you are self-surviving. Sad reality, but true. So I think it's important for them to know that you're there for them, and if the work or if their personal life is taking a hit, you share it, right? I think that's very important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really inspiring. So, and very insightful too. Thank you so much. So, my next question is that obviously you started in 2018, and then we have seen the times of 2020 where this pandemic hit. So, number one question, did you get disrupted because of pandemic? And number two question, how you were managed to, how you were able to keep your team still motivated in the middle of this pandemic?
Right. So before the pandemic hit, right, this was, I think, early 2020 is when we actually opened a physical office. Back then, even we were from 2018 to 2020, we were completely a remote company. We were
Wow.
like, why do we need an office in the first place?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were that
Hats
kind
off
of
for one
people.
thing. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but hats off for one thing that much before pandemic you were already remote working, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, honestly, I mean, the kind of work that we do, right? I mean, I don't think so. Any technology company needs a really dedicated office for the tech team to sit in. If there is any managerial discussions and things like that, or the discussions pre development phase and things like that, I think that is important that you stay. I think it's a lot of fluidity that you create in terms of conversation flow. But I think after that, I don't see the need for people staying in a place to work.
yeah.
As long as you know that the team is not going to scam you out, I think that's great. I mean, during the pandemic itself, we've hired like more than 10 people in the company, and I've not met them. I've not spoken to them in person. But we have a fantastic relationship. They are committed. I would say certain people are committed more than I am committed to the company. On weekends especially, they'll be pinging me like, "Hey, you told me you'll give me this week, dude. It's Sunday." I'm like, I don't care. Give it to me. I think, yeah. So it goes like that.
Great, great, great. Amazing, amazing. So, yeah. So, what are the biggest challenges that you have faced so far being an entrepreneur?
Mm, I think I'll have to go back. See, my whole learning from this previous years of working or trying to build a company is people make or break a company. That's the summary of my learning. So we put a lot of energy into getting the right people. Also, firing is going to be a huge concern. Doing it sensitively, doing it right. People usually get very harsh when they are firing, or both the person who is firing and who is getting fired as well, right? How do you deal with that with sensitivity, with proper channel of communication, and not not being very how do you say, direct about it, you know. So those was, I think, were the biggest challenges for us. I think coming back to that question, right? What is the biggest challenge? I think people are the biggest challenge, both from hiring, retaining talent, keeping the right talent, as well as managing the right talent till they are on the track, right? So once you get the right people and they are accustomed to the culture and the workflows of the company, I think till there you'll have to be a little more managing from a in-person management level. I think after that, once they take off, I think it's golden. But I think that was the biggest challenge for us. I think people talk a lot about going out of business during the pandemic and all that. I don't see that happening in IT services. Although I've seen a lot of companies in IT services being shut down. That is true. But to be honest, I think there is a lot of opportunities outside where people are craving to get the right set of teams, to outsource their work, to get their ideas into realities and all that. But they're just waiting for those right set of people who are there for them, right? As long as we are able to bring that set of people together and create that trust in the client that, hey dude, we are here for you, I think it's there, right? I'm sure, like, I mean, if you ask me if you can build the next Infosys, but you can surely build a very successful IT service company.
Jesse, can you make sure everybody is on mute? Yeah, just to use the admin right and just make everyone mute. Yeah, sorry, Manish, you were speaking something.
No, I think that's pretty much.
Okay, great. Have you fired anyone?
I think that's the part of the process, right? So it's like, yeah, you'll have to remove people. I wouldn't say remove. Very sensitive usage of words here, but you'll have to let go of a few people because of the cultural differences, right? I mean, as a company which is growing rapidly, or a company which has a different pace of culture, it's important to find people who don't fit in. It's nothing wrong with them. It's just about how they blend with you, right?
Yeah.
I think finding that match takes time. Once you understand how a pattern of people work, you'll have to surely let go of a few people, even though they are incredibly talented, and people who've left us or we've let go, and they found great places, and they're getting paid more than what we're paying, all that stuff, right? Really great. Happy for them. But then wouldn't had a second thought of why we had let them go, because of just the compatibilities of people, right? So that is obviously there. And I think, yeah, it's part of the process for sure.
Correct. Even I also believe that, and you can add your views over it, that many times we, especially in the college days, we hear people saying that, oh, there is lots of unemployment and unemployment rate is increasing at a very rapid pace. How am I going to find a job and whatnot, they say. But I'm a believer that there are definitely lots of opportunities right now here, irrespective of pandemic happened. And I think it's not the job we are missing in the market, it's the right skills we are missing in the market. And I think market is big enough to provide jobs to everyone. So do you believe, would you like to add something to it?
I absolutely agree to what you've said, right? So I think skills are what people measured by. I mean, degrees and all are great, of course, but then they're not measures of your knowledge, right, or your experience. So I think as long as you have the right skill set, if you're able to cultivate your skill set, I think that's where the gold is. I think, rightly said, because I've seen a lot of companies reach out to us to outsource our people to them, which we don't do. We're very protective, possessive about our team, so we don't do that. But then, right, because these companies, I mean, they've been here for 25 years, 20 years, like I'm talking legacy companies, right? And these companies are finding it hard to get the right set of people at the right time. I think if you're able to build your skills, if someone is looking for a job, work on your skills, point blank. I think there are a lot of opportunities outside, irrespective of the day and age that you work with, right? The kind of industry as well, especially if you talk digital. I mean, the whole technology domain. I don't think the pandemic affected in the negative sense. I think it affected in the positive sense. A
Mm,
lot of companies have grown during the pandemic. I mean,
correct.
you can take our example as well. When the pandemic hit, we were just tinkering with an internal tool for our trainings as well, and then it was a simple like learning management system for our internal trainings as well. And
Mm,
then once the pandemic hit, we just white labeled it and we started selling it as a SaaS product, right? I mean, that market itself was not existing before the pandemic hit. It's all
mm,
about, I mean, either grieving for it or finding a market where your situations are. I think
correct.
that surely makes a difference. Mindset is all the game.
Yeah, yeah. So my fellow participants in this webinar, I'm sure 99% of you are college students. So this is the biggest learning so far, although we are just halfway through the webinar, but still we have a very great learning here. That do not ever believe in TV stories or news stories that you watch every evening, that unemployment rate is increasing and you are not going to find a job. That's all, you know, they are, you are getting manipulated by social media and news channels. Just walk out yourself in the market, develop on your skills. We are very much confident that market is big enough to absorb you. You won't be able to satisfy market needs if you are really skilled. Yeah. So, Manish, moving to next question. So being an entrepreneur, I know we have discussed about the human challenges, how you manage people, etc. But apart from human challenges, uh, when somebody tries to jump into entrepreneurship, then they suddenly realize, not instantly, but over a period of time, they realize that being talented in, let's say, one skill is different, and being a businessman is different. Like having a business acumen where you are able to uh, build up the right ecosystem, bringing up enough funding in the business, continuously bringing up the clients, and sometimes, you know, employees may have problem like medical problem, or they may have maternity and whatnot. So a businessman is a lot more than just being skilled in one particular aspect. So my question is, uh, how do you work out the funding needs, the uncertainty needs of the business, just to make it survive? Because business breathes money, like we breathe oxygen, it breathes money. So how do you manage that?
Right. So I think finances are something that majority people are have to be really careful with, right? And that's where majority of the companies go wrong, where the founding team or the management team doesn't have the entire grip on how the inflow and outflow is working out, right? So one of the main reasons that we scaled so slowly and being very careful about it is the fact that we were extremely careful with money. If I had to go ahead with someone, I wanted to make sure that I don't fall short of their salaries at least for the next 1 year. So if let's say I'm going ahead, I'm hiring someone right now, I need to make sure that I have their next 1 year salary in my company's account today. If not, if I make it a thumb rule that I cannot afford this guy, right? I just
Yeah.
cannot. I don't. It doesn't matter how incredibly talented he or she is. Is just not a right fit for us because of the way we are. And I just say no to it. And some people get tempted to it. The fact that oh my god, such an incredible resource. Why should we let go? Let's figure out the financials later. I have the money to give them salaries for the next 3 months, and then we'll figure out. And I've seen companies suffer with that, right? Especially when these uncertain situations come up, and a few businesses did take a hit, I'm sure, where the salaries were cut short or half, 60%, and all that, right? They were cut off. I think that has to be planned, and that changes from person to person. But extremely important part of the entire company, I would say, is having, I wouldn't say manage your finances, but I would say have a knowledge of your inflow and outflow, and then figure out what you can and cannot afford. I mean, I'm talking about people, I'm talking about office spaces, I'm talking about licenses of softwares, anything, right? Any purchase, any output, any outgoing currency that you're spending, expending, or that on your company's expenses. you need to make sure that you can actually afford it for a longevity, but not look at, hey, can I make it now, right? Especially with hiring, I think majority people go wrong with their hiring part. They promise, hey, I'll give you 12 lakhs per year, and then they only have like for that person allocated like 6 lakhs in their account. And then they for 6 months it's golden, but if the company is not making money on that particular resource by the next 6 months to accommodate for their next 6 months, the salaries go short, right? Because where does a company have the money to put it, right? It becomes a whole, especially this is true in startups. I'm sure that is not the case with MNCs because they have a whole different way of managing stuff. But I think yeah, money management plays a key role.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So yeah, that's good insightful knowledge. So coming back to our another agenda, like we are Space Hub India, so we our primary aim is to promote STEM education, especially in the field of space technology. So just wanted to know your